Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anay Gupta and I'm so glad to have you here today. Now, I'm more of a black and white kind of a person, meaning that I prefer questions that have one definitive answer. But economics was a paper that was full of open-ended questions. Apart from the definitions, all of the other answers were subject to the perception of an examiner. And so that uncertainty really scared me out. However, over the course of the years when I prepared for my IGCSE Economics exam, I developed these strategies that helped me befriend this open ended nature of economics. And mind you, when I went into the exam hall to give my economics paper, I was actually more relaxed and confident than the other science papers, for example. And so, in this series, Mastering the IGCSE Economics, we are going to understand chapter by chapter the secrets of approaching economics. There is this interlinked approach that I developed between chapters, and I'm going to outline the exact pointers, the exact keywords, and the exact ideas that you can use in your answers for every chapter. I will also discuss the paper patterns, the marks allocations, and the time management strategies for economics. But for now, let's get to the concepts from the perspective of a CAIE examination. Today, in this episode, we will be covering the first chapter, that is the basic economic problem. Okay, the basic economic problem is a little underrated chapter and students often skip this. However, if you incorporate the keywords and the ideas from this chapter into answers from another chapters, the examiner will be very impressed that you are citing the fundamental and simpler chapters, which shows that you have a holistic understanding of the subject. Okay, now the entire concept of economics is just based on two keywords that are needs and wants. So, while they're self explanatory, needs are any commodity that is essential for survival, right? And wants are commodities that are not essential for survival. That means you can live without them. For example, a need could be food, it could be housing, it could be water. But a want, on the other hand, could be something like a car, right? So it's not required to survive, it's just basically a desire of the person who is acquiring those goods. Now, need that's the difference between a need and a want. Now, to make these needs or to produce these needs or produce these wants, we need something called as resources, right? So resources are, we could say, the raw materials that are required to produce these wants. Now, the problem here, the problem here is that these raw materials are limited on earth. Okay, but the wants are unlimited. So for example, this problem can be evaluated in different circumstances. Okay, so for example, someone might want 100 cars and say 10 big mansions and the most expensive watches and the most expensive perfumes. Okay, so his wants in theory are practically unlimited, right? If he has 100 latest watches and if you give him another one, He's not gonna say no. He's not gonna not want it, right? But the problem is that does he have that much money to afford it, right? So does he have the resource? And the resource in this case would be money. Does he have that capital or that money to buy those unlimited wants of his? No. He has a limited amount of money, right? And because he has that limited amount of money, even though he has unlimited wants, he has to prioritize. He has to make decisions. Right? He has to prioritize that, okay, out of these 200 watches in front of me, which is the one watch or which are the two watches that I want to buy for myself with the budget that I have in front of me. So that is the basic economic problem in a nutshell. Now, this can be implemented in different situations. A company can have X number of resources that it can devote to developing N number of goods. Now, how does it now the company or the entrepreneur may want to produce unlimited goods of all different kinds, but he cannot do that because he has a limited amount of people working for him, he has a limited amount of raw materials in stock, and he has a limited amount of machines and a limited amount of cash. So he has to prioritize and he has to allocate resources in a particular combination, right? Sorry. And that is your implication of the basic economic problem, because people may want unlimited things, people may want endless things. However, there are limited resources that can be used to both produce and acquire those resources, acquire those wants, and that is why we need to prioritize, make decisions, and allocate resources. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. I'm excited to share that I'm starting my own communities on Reddit and on Discord. The subreddit and the Discord server links are in the description below. So go check them out and join the communities as soon as possible. We'll be having regular calls, study sessions, and AMAs. Also, I'll be resolving all your doubts whatsoever over there. Because when I said that you're not alone, I meant it. So I hope to seeing you all over there. This situation, okay, this situation of unlimited wants and limited resources is called scarcity. Right? So that is basically unlimited wants plus finite or limited resources. That means there is not enough to satisfy all the wants of all the people in the world. Okay, now I hope you understood that, and this basically, this equation here or this sum right here is your basic economic problem. Alright, now in this economic problem we have a problem. Okay, so the problem is scarcity, and the solution to this problem is allocation of resources, right? That is basically prioritizing, that is basically choosing how you want to use your resources and how do you want to produce them. Now, this to implement this solution, we have to have someone called the decision makers, right? Who decides how the resources are allocated? Because for example, if there is like 100 acres of land available, okay, so who decides that 100 out of the 100 acres, say 50 acres should be given to making houses, 20 acres should be given for industrial purposes, there should be, say, sanctuaries or zoos or nature conservation efforts in, say, the other 20 acres of land, there should be agriculture in 10 acres of land. So how will the allocation of all the resources be decided? So these decision makers, okay, are households, firms, and the government. So all these three decision makers are called economic agents. And what do these economic agents do? These economic agents answer three crucial questions. Okay, so they will answer. Okay, first is what to produce. Okay, they will answer what to produce. So for example, if more people or more households want say chocolate, okay, or if more households want ice cream, it's summertime, then more ice creams will be produced, right? That's basically demand and supply. They will also answer how to produce. So, is the production going to be more labor intensive? Is it going to be more capital intensive? That means, are more workers going to be employed? Are more machines going to be used? So, the method of production, right? And third, oops, for whom to produce. So, after production, how is it going to be distributed? How is it going to be supplied, right? So these are the three questions. Oops. these these are the three questions that these economic agents will answer. Okay, now how do these economic agents really interact with each other, right? So they they all these three agents have been teamed up, but it's like households have their own agenda and governments have their own agendas. So how do these three people come together in the market system? So interaction of economic agents. Okay, because households basically want to buy goods at the best prices possible and attain as many wants as they can. Firms want to make as much profit as they can, and government wants to ensure that the welfare of the country is being taken care of. Okay, so let's just write down household, firm, and government. Okay, now households will interact with the firms by consumption. Firms instead will employ these households as workers and they will pay them income or wages, salary, right? So households will consume their products and give the firms revenue. Firms will employ these workers and give them salary. Okay, now between households and governments, the household or the common man will earn and the common man will pay the government taxes. Okay, and the government on the other hand will give them benefits. So the government will spend, say, there are public hospitals, there are public schools available, there are public facilities, say parks, there are facilities like street lights, there are facilities like defense. So all these services that are available to the common man, that will the government will provide them in the form of government expenditure. Now, similarly, the firm will pay taxes to the government on the profits, and the government will spend and help the firms in the form of, say, subsidies. Okay, now guys, just make a note of the things that I'm saying verbally as well, because you can use these in your explanations. Okay, so the government can help the firm by giving subsidies in R&D, a lot of things that the government can do. So these are the three ways in which the income or in which money will change hands from the economic agents and ensure that all of the three economic agents have enough power in the market. Okay, so that is how your economic agents will interact to solve the problem. Okay, let's move on and let's step aside from the economic problem for a while. Now, let's focus on type of goods. Okay, before we do that, let's just understand quickly what are goods and services. Okay, what are goods and services? So, goods are basically any physical and tangible object, I could say, or commodity, right? So anything that I can see, I can touch, I can feel, all of those things are going to be goods. So right from the books to the computers to a car, all of these things are goods. Okay, but services on the other hand, they will be non tangible commodities, they will be non physical commodities. So they are something that you cannot see, you cannot feel. Okay, for example, a haircut or a cab ride from your workplace to your home. So all of these, the ride, you cannot see or feel the ride. You can feel the car is the good, but the ride is the service, right? So they are non tangible commodities. Now goods can be classified into different categories. First up, we have something called as economic goods. Okay, and as you move forward with the syllabus, there are going to be many different categories of classifying goods, and you will be expected to remember them all. But don't worry, with enough reading and with enough understanding of economics, you will be able to, recall them quite quickly. So there's something called economic goods and something called as free goods. Now, from the term economic goods, we know that they will be produced in a economic market, right? So economic goods basically are all the goods that are produced by man, that can be created by humans. Okay, whereas free goods will be goods that are created or available, I should say, in nature. Now, there can be questions where you might be asked to explain why something is an economic good and why something is a free good. And if you just tried that for, okay, let's take an example. Okay, a car. So explain why a car is an economic good. And if you just try that because a car is produced by man, you might be able to score a mark, but that's all. You need to explain it. So if it is produced by humans, if it is bought and sold in an economic market, that means it will command a price. Okay, it will command a price. So car has a price, you need to pay that money to buy the car. Even something as simple as a pen has a price, you pay the price and you get the pen. Okay, and they will have utility and exchange value. Now, what does this mean? This means that it can be sold for another good, right? So I can use this and I can sell this, exchange this for money or for another good, like a barter system. But free goods, they cannot command a price, right? They don't command a price, and they have no exchange value, but they have utility. Which means they have a use. They are goods, they are used for something, but they cannot be exchanged for another good, right? That is what a free good means. Now let's take some examples of economic goods and free goods. So economic goods, I already gave you some examples, like one second, yeah, like say a car, a pen, okay, a book. But free goods, for example, will be, say, air, water, sunshine, right? So all of these goods are available in nature. We use these goods for processes, like for example, water can be used in many industrial processes, right? Water is used and packaged, say, for selling, right? But these goods do not, the water in itself, the commodity, does not have any exchange value. But water bottle is an economic good, because that is manufactured, it is produced by man, and it will command a price. But just water in the sea, water in the lake, it has no price, and it is available in nature abundantly, right? So that is what is the difference between an economic good and a free good. Perfect. Now, goods and services can also be classified by sector. So, there are two sectors in economics. There is the private sector and there is the public sector. Okay, now the private sector involves firms, that is companies, and households or individuals. The public sector involves the government. And so if a good is produced by firms and households, then it becomes a private sector good. And if it is produced by a government, then it becomes a public sector good or a service. For example, we can say defense, right? Then defense services are an example of a public sector service because the government produces them. But on the other hand, if a company is manufacturing a product, then that will become a private sector good. Okay, so these are the categorization of goods and services, and that is what is entailed in chapter 1, the basic economic problem. To quickly summarize, the basic economic problem is all about scarcity, about unlimited wants but finite resources, and that allocation of resources is what really stimulates the entire economics, right? And we also studied about categorizing goods and services into different categories. So I really hope you enjoyed the video, you were able to derive a lot of value from it, understand the concept, and if you enjoyed this style of delivery, if you understood the concepts, then please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with as many people as you can. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below, and I will be more than happy to clarify all of your doubts. Thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.